I should start, I guess. Okay. Well, anyway, regardless. Anyway, I'm going to start. Thank you for joining us on this webinar regarding selling your business to your employees as a succession planning tool. Um, this initiative was created by the mayor's office as a new city-supported partnership between local business service providers that can help sell your business to your employees. Through the Equitable Industrial Development Initiative, the city will provide business owners with a free initial consultation, hands-on technical assistance, and a pathway to a private lender for potential purchase of eligible businesses. Um, this may not be something that you're looking at right now, but the strategy may be able to be implemented, as you structure your employees for the future, and consider the strategy as an end game or an option to an end game of having your business last, or getting a good value out of the business, and vesting into the community. So let me give you a quick run through of what it's all about. First off, as a business owner, on average, business owners' wealth is tied, up in closely held businesses, 80%. In the business community, 90% of business owners are planning on garnering some liquidity from their business to fund retirement, the end game. But when you look at, the amounts of where businesses have landed, 70 to 80% of businesses put on, onto the market, that they put on their business onto the market do not sell. So there's a large discrepancy of what the value you think it is, and what you're going to settle for, in regard to that. And it's one where the mayor's office thought there would be concern to see if there's any program to help, strategize or offer options. So what is the employee ownership? What we're going to describe is the third column or the fourth column, where it's worker-owned cooperative. But when you look at the differences between a conventional business or an employee stock ownership plan, an Esop, which has been out for many years as also a strategy. Who owns the business? A conventional, it's always the investors, shareholders. who controls it in a conventional business, its investors, shareholders. Who benefits from its success, investors, shareholders. When we look at an employee stock plan, an SOP, a trust is created to benefit the employees. The controller is the actual trustees that are put in place. Who benefits the success? The employees do, and it's usually in a retirement fund. When you compare that to what this strategy is as a worker-owned cooperative, the workers would be the owners. The workers would be the owners with one member, one vote as controllers. And also who benefits? Worker owners, because they share in the profits at the end, on an annual basis. When you compare an employee stock ownership program against a worker-owned cooperative, it's usually to the larger type companies, the ones that have 20 to 40 plus employees. For worker-owned, universal, it's all sizes. However, the good low amount is somewhere at 4 or 5 employees or better. So it fits more sizes of businesses. The cost of an ESOP is usually a high setup, like I said, to create the legalization, and the trustees have a higher setup and ongoing administrative cost, where the costs for worker-owned cooperative are less costly. They're lower. They're the lowest. Tax benefits in an ESOP: capital gains tax deferral for C Corps, ESOPs, exemption from federal corporate income tax, S Corps, ESOPs. For a worker-owned, there's the capital gains deferral for transition, and also a deductibility of profits allocated to employees. The employee role in decision-making between the two is optional. Trustees would first would decide whether they wanted input, or a role for employee in the decision-making. In a worker-owned cooperative, it's a democratic governance, one person, one vote. So right from the get-go, when it is set up, the employees have an ownership duty and participate in the governance of the business. Practices and structures that enable workshops to own and govern and control a business. Like I said, a business owned by an ESOP is owned by a trust to benefit the employees, controlled by the trustees, and provides benefits usually in the form of retirement funds for workers. As a worker cooperative, a business structure in which workers cooperatively own, operate, and control a company. Examples of this right here in New York is JKS Printing, a shop, about, I believe it was 4 or 5 employees within this working cooperative. As in also a Brooklyn Stone and Tile store. Brooklyn Stone and Tile was a working cooperative where the employees, have the duties of the owner, and help shape the business, and then participate in the improvement of the business and the annual receipts that are made. Examples of an ESOP, which would be an HRA company or an Eileen Fisher company, larger, more complex on what they're doing, but the structure, financial structure of the businesses for them lend themselves to doing an ESOP. They're in the position to do an ESOP, like I had said in the beginning, that there are much more processes and expenses in creating that ESOP. The workplace participation practices that promote businesses transparency and equity. It's the best way to say it is open book management. As you as the owner probably looking at this, you control a lot of the decision making, if not, almost 100% of it, or 90%, with some input from your key employees. In this case, if you were looking at this, and part of developing the strategy is that have an open book management where maybe more, or again, those key employees can play a position to understand the management of the business, could put insight on direction or changes thereof too, and understand the components of working the business. Um, the the other thing is the profit sharing structure for incentivizing the performance, where workers receive a direct share of profits generated from a business when they're getting something at the end, in compensation, but also with the added duties, and in hours that they would put in normally, actually give them something. The more the business prospers, so does the profit sharing. What legal forms do cooperatives use? There is no cooperative statute. A cooperative statute is not applicable for working cooperatives, but an LLC governed by an operating agreement where one worker is one member with one vote can do this. Corporations governed by bylaws can write in add-ins that give worker owners power. Nonprofits, it does prevent them for not, they can't distribute profits, but they certainly can distribute salaries throughout, in that process. And the stock ownership programs governed by a trust that owns the business, and the workers' owners control the trust. Democratic forms would require the addition of bylaws that allow trustees to democratically vote on decisions. So it's kind of, where, 4 out of the 5 can entertain a worker owner cooperative. What are the conversions? Why should I consider transitioning my business to worker ownership? Well, as it looks here, worker cooperative conversion is a transition of a company from a sole or family ownership to an employee ownership. Employees have governance of money and decision-making processes. Why? Why should a business owner consider selling their business to employees? The advantages to the business owner: capitalize on the value you have invested in and created for the business. Avoid the standard 15% broker fee for selling the business outright. Access tax benefits available for worker-owned businesses, eligible to deduct patronage funds from gross taxable income. Preserve the legacy of your business and the jobs you've created. Here, within there are companies that have been here for years. Traditionally, if your favorite store, all of a sudden closed up, or, changed hands from one entity to another entity, it's a loss to the community, as well as maybe a change of, of employees that are employed that, once, served under you and provided that service so consistently to make the value of your business, and then are no longer employed there, and the new entity comes in. Advantages to the employees: build wealth through equity in a company, a potential for increased income, increased job security and resilience during economic downturns, improve business productivity through shared problem solving and increased buy-in, increase control and voice in the operations of the business. More so, the advantages if they understand the business a little bit more, and and actually in certain cases would be able to maybe see things that, as an owner, where you're doing everything, and have a history of running your business from 4 years, may not be seeing new trends, new markets, new processes. It's like, hey, we could get this program and and work this this end of it a lot better, with suggestions. Here, an employee would have a due diligence to do that, because they're vesting into and putting in the sweat equity and the brain equity, to help the business continue, and in that way put it in a better position of value. And if it was to go cooperatively, you're creating, the actual person that, you would want to sell the business to in order to invest back, again, and keep it running within that community. So how does the owner get paid back? If eligibility criteria are met, the working world can finance the purchase of the company on behalf of the workers. First off, let me introduce you to into the working world. It's a nonprofit community development financing institute with an investment fund that provides investment capital and technical assistance to accelerate conversions to employee ownership. They help in the process from the assessment to the due diligence. And it's not like, okay, made this decision, it's an open and shut case. It is a process. And that process, if you were, in the process of, of thinking of pushing the button, they can help with that. But even in that, if it was to be done immediately, there is a process to see if your business fits. There is, kind of an assessment. And then the due diligence of, creating the open book management that may not be used in the business at hand, because as the owner, you have been doing many of those processes and not having that open book management. And you give time to some of the employees that you may think that would be, potential, buyers of the business, but help them along in training and understanding the business and making sure it's running right during that. And the working world in many capacities will help you do that. They've invested millions of dollars in worker-owned businesses and conversions and facilitated the conversions of hundreds of businesses to employees' ownership. I believe they've been in operation for about 16 years. And this market is not small. I mean, there are about 17 million people in the United States work in some variation of employee-owned businesses. And the working world, which is headquartered in New York City, has 15 years of experience converting companies, to employee ownership. So it's not that it's just created; it's been around, and it's worldwide as well. In other countries of where they have done that. So that is the working world. And, the deal structure would be the owner would, sit down and, and come up with a value of the business, what they expect if they put it on the market, what they would be looking for. What is that number that, is based on their decision. And as that is, cured out, and you get to that point where you're about to say, okay, I think I can do this. The owner would receive a 50% down payment from the working world, who is the lender, immediately for the purchase. And as they work in due diligence and build and helping you get the employees to the point of taking over the ownership, then the owner is repaid out of annual profits over time for the remaining of the balance. So the transition of ownership to work is a gradual process, but you're getting a value and a deal on the table that could do two things: get what you need out of it, have the business continue, and keeping your employees employed and giving them the opportunity to take the business even further. So the sole owner of the employees plus the working world equals the deal. The owner receives a 50% down payment. The transfer of ownership from former owner to employees is completed, and the annual profits are split, where 50% of the annual profits will go to the former owner. The business owner will be repaid with a portion of annual profits over time. 30% of those annual profits will then repay the working world for the lending operation of it. And I should have mentioned too, it is the lending world that makes that lending too, so that we're in a position where the employees uh, are not putting up the financing, but actually the working world is putting up the financing for the initial payment and the operation going forward. Helping the operation go forward, where the annual profits will then actually give the owner the 50% that is owed over the period of time. And during that process, 20% of that would be shared to that circle of workers, owners that are there, as participating in the annual profits. The work to work program, the initial assessment, it's 1 to 2 weeks. An initial assessment of the business considers the financial and social economic impacts to the business. Companies that make the best candidates are profitable, and their conversion to employee ownership can have a meaningful impact on the lives of the employees or community. And that assessment begins with local providers like the Staten Island EDC, who's in contract with that, would be able to do an assessment if you needed, to get more information, or to see where you fit in this, if at all. And then it's kind of reviewed by the working world, and they may reach out to you and speak. You don't have to be, I'm ready to do this right away, but you could get initial information and a relationship with them, to follow through. The diligence, over 2 months, financial, operation, legal due diligence conducted with the owner's assistance assure the soundness of the company and inform a transition plan. This plan is used to effectively transfer managerial duties to the new owners. In certain cases, some businesses may not, fit this. They may think they do. They may think this is a strategy, but they may not have, the financials, the EBITDAs, and how they're set up that would make a strategy like this actually work. So it's not kind of like a fit all, but in a lot of cases, there are businesses that fit and do this diligence, and and find it to be a worthwhile strategy to pursue. And then you have, after 1 month in the due diligence process and transition plan are completed without issue, the company's sale is finalized and the first payment is made to the seller. From this point, training and employee engagement begin in earnest, and ownership is transferred. So make sure I didn't skip a line. Okay, yeah. Who can support me in converting to the employee ownership? The working world, a community-based lender, will work with eligible businesses to assemble financing, solidify the terms of owner payback, and finalize the sale of the business. Technical assistance partners, it's like an SIEDC initially. Trained specialists from industrial business service providers, a network of 8 nonprofit organizations, can provide technical assistance, including business education, financing assistance, recruitments, and training. That we help at this point to, like we're doing today, bring the strategy out, let you know that it's there as an option, help you understand it a little bit more, introduce you if wanted, to the lender to have a conversation. They can actually fill out a business assessment form, which is, it's not a long form at all, but would help you, look at what they would be looking at to see if it works for you. And then the city support, through Equitable Industrial Development Program by the Mayor's Office of Minority and Women-Owned Businesses. The city will provide business owners with free consultation, technical assistance, contacts for private lenders, for eligible, for businesses such as the working world and others. The eligible criteria. You are eligible for this program if you own a business. Your business was profitable before the COVID-19 pandemic. And I might underscore that too. The mayor's office was working on this prior to, the pandemic that we're in, as a program to help support businesses that may be on, within the reach of having that final decision of when you were going to, bow out of the business or wanted options to you, not because of what we're in, today. It just happened to be circumstances that, it met the two. Your business employs at least 3 workers. The business is located in one of the 5 boroughs of New York. So I know that's kind of like a quick open up book, but it is a program through the city. It is a program that through SIEDC, I myself could introduce you to and have a further conversation. We do feel that there is definitely a percentage of businesses that may, look into this, maybe not, in a drastic, I just need to, to get out, but more so if I was in the midst of my business, whatever aged that I am, and, or I look out, over, my workspace and see, employees that have been there and have made the success for the business, might be something that may, get you to a point where you would consider this. It may be that the market is changing and you want to do something that can invigorate it. It might be this strategy of at least knowing something like this and putting in, a process in there where you're opening up the management and having other employees maybe make decision makings in marketing or something, on that to build up their capacity, that if there was, a group of the employees that meshed in your mind, you, the owner of the company, that had confidence that it might be something to do, it might be down years, but you structured it so that you could retain employees, to a point, with at the same time growing the business. And then as you want to phase out, you have the option, and it may strengthen your business. So we hope that this is informative to you. Please contact me directly if you want more questions to be answered. And I look forward to speaking with you. Okay. Let's see. Does anybody have questions? If you do, if you could quick check on the Q&A or on the chat and send it to me, be glad to answer any questions. Okay, social host. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. I see no questions. Again, my information, Jay Anderson at j@sidc.org, and my phone number is there. Please reach out. And look forward to working with you on this program. And have a great day. And thanks for attending the SIEDC's virtual conference today and taking the time. Appreciate it.